Hi, everyone. According to my birth certificate, it says my name is R. Brandon. You know, there's an A and an R in the word Brandon. According to my birth certificate, you know, it, this video is for the family, you know. According to the Family Court of Jefferson County, you know, in my birth certificate, it says the name of the mom, the person who claimed being the mom. She is not God, of course, but the person who claims being the mom, a person, has the name of Yolanda Renee Johnson. And she claims that she is married to a person who uses the name Willie V. Johnson. And according to the Family Court of Jefferson County, you know, I went to court for years since October 6, 2006 for Yatrell Johnson and Lord Gerald Johnson. And I was still going to court in 2008. Trinity was born October 6, 2008. And I went to court years, you know, since then at the family court, you know. And about a marriage. When a person named Yolanda Johnson wanted to claim that she was married to a guy named Willie Johnson, and those were the names they used, there were some people, you know, that told me that, you know, if Willie Johnson was not at any of the family court dates, you know, they filed a petition on me when I was 14 years old. They say I was in a car accident when I was 12 years old. So, you know, just like in this wheelchair, if my body has not fully healed, and Willie Johnson or Yolanda Johnson, the people that was using those names, they didn't give a damn about me. Because before I could even fully heal as a 12-year-old child, so-called in a car accident, and they used the money to get Willie Johnson a car, she was already trying to lock me up when I was 14 years old. And there was a petition filed when I was 14. It's like Willie Johnson is not a dad or a granddad or a decent husband. Because where was he in the courtroom saying, Brandon is my son, don't lock him up? He was just in a car accident and he hasn't even fully healed. Please don't throw my son in jail. If he wasn't there saying that he doesn't deserve to be called a dad, a father, a husband, or a grandfather, is the way I feel about it. And it says a lot about the character of the person claiming to be Yolanda Johnson if she claims him as a husband. It's the way, you know, it was explained to me. And I was locked up when I was 14 and 15 in the same family court. You know, they had me in a boot camp destroying my body because I had these injuries on my body, and they had me trying to climb towers and exercise and do stuff that, you know, if I was 14 years old, 15 years old, doing all that work with an injured body, maybe that's why I'm in this wheelchair today. You know, they locked me up again when I was 16 years old. So that's when I was 14, 15, and when I was 16. And Willie Johnson was not in the courtroom saying, don't lock my son up. He's been a mental health patient ever since he was 5 years old. You know, I've been a mental health patient since I was 5 years old. And I would go to the Western Mental Health Center. But she claims Willie Johnson is her husband. And she wants someone to call him a dad and a father and a granddad and a grandfather. But he doesn't have the character and the actions of ever being a father or a dad or a husband. Because when I was in those courtrooms, You know, they had locked me up again when I was 17. So that's when I was 14, 15, 16, and 17 in the same family court of Jefferson County. And I didn't have any victims. You know, they just didn't like me. They said I was somebody else's son. They said that, you know, it was a story about a lady of color had sex with a European man, and they said that I'm not African and I'm not European. They said I am mixed. And so the dude that they said name was Willie Johnson did not like me. And in order for her to keep a man in the house that she called Willie Johnson, she filed petitions and made up excuses to send me away when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, until I was 18. And that they had set me up to get in all that trouble. And it looked crazy because a guy named Tommy told me, if you don't have any victims of Brandon and you're not actually a person that goes around doing bad stuff, why would she have filed those petitions and got you locked up? You know, they said it's just something that they do in that family. They said her mom name was Helen Davidson, and she stole the grandchildren of her son, Antonio Davidson. And it was a baby named Lil Tony or Antonio Davidson Jr. They had a practice where the grandmother, a person that calls themselves a grandmother, would steal the grandchildren, and she would use them to try to get a Section 8 food stamps or some kind of social security check from the children. And they said they did that to me. You know, they said I was getting a social security check ever since the 90s, and I never knowed about it because, well, you know, they would use like bank accounts and direct deposit and stuff like that. So you would never even see the blue envelope come in the mail, and you wouldn't even know you was getting one. So I'm not sure. It's just what was told to me. So, you know, they say that they had family planning and some people only cared about money, you know. They said someone was using the name April Williams possibly before April 30th, 2004, possibly on April 30th, 2004, and possibly after April 30th, 2004. And that one of them only cared about money. And I don't know how many people use that name or their image, you know. This is for the children, is what I'm saying. I met a girl that, you know, they said her name was April Williams when I was 16 years old, you know. And I would work at different jobs and I would try to work, you know. Back then, and I was every time I would try to go to work, you know, they abused me, you know. They would either, you know, I got crushed on the back of a truck before any of the children was born. I think it was in the year of 2004 at a Pepsi Buffalo Rock Company. And I had to go to the hospital at the St. Vincent Hospital in Birmingham, Alabama. So, you know, there should be medical records. And some of the people said they had set me up to get me killed for insurance money, and they didn't want me to, you know, exist. Because one of the people that used the name April Williams said she was a fan of Willie Johnson. The same guy, you know, the child molester and the child abuser, he abused me. The one that never went to any of the court dates, he just let them abuse the children. That guy that they call Willie Johnson, that Yolanda Johnson calls her husband. And she calls it a marriage, you know. A guy, you know, that didn't go to any of the family court dates. He never called me his son. So I don't think he's my dad. He never called me his son. He never acted like I was his child. He was never at any other family court dates when I was being locked up for having no victims. It's like he didn't exist, you know. So, and with all of these problems, as many times as I said someone was pretending to be April Williams and that I was sexually abused and molested, I haven't heard a guy named Willie Johnson say, hey, he's my son who did this to him. So, like a real dad, like a real husband, this video is for the children. I went to those family court dates ever since October 6, 2006. And I'm in this wheelchair today. And I might not have as much money as other people since I'm not rich and I don't have a car. They use the children as bait. I'm not blaming the children because children do stuff when they're young and don't really understand that someone else was using them as a puppet. I was used as a puppet when I was young. I was used as a puppet when I was older. They said some people was doing hoodoo or voodoo or bad witchcraft, and that they did stuff with our blood and with our urine and with our pee-pees and poop, the doo-doo. And it's funny how doo-doo sound a lot like voodoo and hoodoo. I think they use your poop and your doo-doo when they do hoodoo. So, I'm not sure because I don't really practice any of that stuff, but this is for the children. If a person who was using the name April Williams is your mom, and even if she is not your mom, if it was just some criminal doing identity theft and they tried to use the children as bait, because each time I went to visitation or tried to visit the children, I was attacked and beat up, whether it was at a church in Birmingham the last time on November 29th, or whether it was going to 2501 20th Street, Inslee, Birmingham, Alabama, 35208. And I was attacked there. The children should know. I don't want to get beat up or killed and abused. And I don't want them using the children as bait, as a setup for me, being abused, So, this video is for the children, Uh, I'm not sure what's going on. And I wasn't being mean, but when a child that said his name was Jatrell and Lord Gerald kept trying to fight each other, I said that I didn't want Yatrell and Lord Gerald being at the same visitation with each other because they kept trying to fight each other and they kept trying to kill each other. So I said that so that both of them could, be safe. And Lord Gerald, a child that said he was Gerald, asked me, he said he don't want to go where Trinity is going and he don't want to go where Yatrell was going. So he expressed that he didn't want to be around Trinity or Lord Gerald or Yatrell. Lord Gerald, a child said, so a person said they was Lord Gerald and asked me those things. So I'm not sure if they were mad or if they were offended by any of that. It was not my intention, but if anyone wanted to know, this is for the children. That's why when I was in the Westbury apartments, I was like, since Yatrell is the older one, he should be able to handle it better, knowing that you don't have to fight Lord Gerald Yatrell if you're not at the same visitation with him. And Lord Gerald said he didn't want to be there anyway, unless it was someone pretending to be them or some kind of identity theft. I'm not sure, But they made me crazy. But I'm not suicidal, And I don't know what's been going on with Trinity, but I don't want the wrong God using them. I don't want a bad God using them. So when I'm talking about God, I'm talking about a good God, you know. So I'm not sure what other people are talking about, but you know, it's how I feel and what I think about the situation, you know. So if someone else was claiming that they were their children or their children, I don't know what they're